What's up guys, James here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. A commenter of mine suggested that I rank the dinosaurs within the Carnivores franchise, so I thought why not do one better and just put them all into a tier list. Now there were a couple tier lists out there that had a bunch of animals from Carnivores mods, and despite knowing a shit ton about Carnivores mods, I've never actually really played any of them, aside from like the first map in Carnivores Mandibles. Although that is a sick mod, I could probably rank those creatures, but for now I'm just going to be ranking the vanilla Carnivores dinosaurs and the mammals from Ice Age, the first game, Carnivores 2, Cityscape, Reborn, and the mobile ports. So without further ado, let's just get into it. I don't know why Allosaurus is in D already, but I'm going to put Allosaurus in B. And the reason I'm putting it in B is because it's the first animal on this tier list. It's the first carnivore that you fight in Carnivores. And in my opinion, it's just a mid-tier creature. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's also nothing that good about it. It's just sort of a mid-level carnivore. It's not too dangerous, so I'm just putting it in the B tier. Next we have the Alphadon from Carnivores Cityscape, which is basically just a little ambient animal that just scurries around the map, kind of. I think I'm going to put it in C tier personally because it does add to Cityscape, and I think it is interesting as it's a mammal from the warmer areas of the Carnivores planet, but it's like you don't really kill it, it doesn't really have any purpose, there's no points for it. So although it does have some cool world building elements associated with it, that's pretty much it for the Alphadon. It can't really fight back or nothing, though there is an Easter egg with these Alphadons worshipping a statue or something, which is why I'm not putting it in D tier, I'm just going to leave it in C tier. Next we have the Amargasaurus, which was a dinosaur introduced into the mobile ports as the first huntable sauropod within the Carnivores franchise, which for me just puts it that much cooler compared to other animals in the series. Now, personally, I'm trying to think about where I'd rank it because it's not that notable of a dinosaur. You shoot it, it runs away. It's just another average herbivore added into the mobile ports. I think I'm going to put it in B tier. I don't know if it should go before or after the Allosaurus. Maybe because of its uniqueness and because of the new skin, I'll put it before Allosaurus. I got no clue where I'm going to put the Andrewsarchus. I mean, there's nothing that notable about it. It's kind of just a cool mammal. I am going to say, though, it is kind of badass, I'm not going to lie. You know, when you look at real-life safaris, you've got people hunting lions and tigers and all this different stuff. And for me, the Carnivores Andrewsarchus is like an enhanced version of an actual tiger on like an alien planet, if that makes any sense. So for me, I think I'm going to put it as our first A tier creature, just because it's kind of badass, I'm not even going to lie. Alright, Reborn and Kylosaurus. I'm not a big fan of the Reborn creature designs because they're kind of just like meh. They're just like Jurassic Park designs that you'd see in any other video game of that era. There's nothing really like overly notable about them or unique, whereas the original Carnivores designs were unique for their outdated appearance, as contradictory as that may sound. I will say it's cool that the Carnivores Reborn Allosaurus can fight back, although it also kind of misses the point. In the original Carnivores games, you gotta remember this is an alien planet, and the Carnivores Ankylosaurus of FMMU V32, if you read the descriptions, it's less like an actual Allosaurus and more like a big spiky lizard, which kind of gets lost on the Reborn Ankylosaurus. It is cool though, it's just, I don't just want to be fighting an actual Ankylosaurus from the Jurassic period. I want a unique Carnivores Ankylosaurus. And for me, it's just going to land at a C tier. It's just kind of boring. Alright, now we have the actual Carnivores Ankylosaurus, which isn't much better. Like I said, it's just a big spiky lizard. There's really nothing over the top about it. It does have that like nostalgia factor, and it kind of pairs hand in hand with the Stegosaurus. Honestly, I think I'm just going to put it in B tier below the Allosaurus. Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx is pretty cool in my opinion because it's the ambient animal of Carnivores Ice Age that flies around in the sky. And it's like, what's not to like about it? It's an Archaeopteryx. And Carnivores Ice Age kind of took some creative liberty by taking a creature from the dinosaur era and putting it in an Ice Age environment, which isn't the same for any of the other Ice Age animals, but works well in Archaeopteryx's favor. I know there's a shit ton of animals in B tier. I think I'm going to put in B tier above Allosaurus. Maybe above Amargasaurus too, just because I kind of like the design of it. It's got cool colors. The bear is kind of just meh. I mean, it's a bear. Like, are we playing a normal hunting game? Like, are we playing some Alaskan, Canadian hunting simulator? Like, we're talking about a bear in Carnivores. And it's not even like a big bear or something. Like, this is deadass just a bear. So I think I might actually just put it in C tier. Like, personally, the bear is not something I really choose to willingly hunt. And it kind of seems like one of those additions that was just thrown in Ice Age for the sake of it, which the original Ice Age game is already kind of unfinished on its own. The wild boar is another one of those, like, stupid Ice Age, boring-ass animals. I think I'm going to put it in C tier first. I think I'm going to put it as the highest thing in C tier. Brachiosaurus, really cool in my opinion. Brachiosaurus is a straight A. Can we just keep it like that? It was a rumored urban legend from the original Carnivores game that got added into the second one. So it's already got that little bit of lore behind it. It's the only animal that you can't kill. It's the biggest ambient animal, but it's also the biggest animal in the game. It's just badass, bro. It's the Brachiosaurus. I'm putting it in A tier. In fact, I'm putting it above the Andrewsarchus. Okay, now we have the Brontotherium, I think it's called. This is like the basic semi-dangerous animal in Ice Age. You know what I mean? It's like the Allosaurus of Ice Age, in my opinion. Or maybe a better comparison would be like the Triceratops of Ice Age. It's just the Brontotherium, you know what I mean? You fight it, it's in Ice Age Survivor mode. It's just straight B tier for me. Maybe I'll put it above, and I think I'll put it below Ankylosaurus just because it's that much less iconic. Like, I kind of forgot it was even in the Carnivores games until it just appeared. Okay, Carnotaurus. This might be controversial, but I'm not the biggest fan of the new Carnotaurus skin. Actually, I don't think it is that controversial because I know a lot of people did like the old tiger stripe skin, especially compared to a lot of the other, like, super ripped off skins that Tatum used. A lot of people did seem to like the tiger stripe one of the Carnotaurus. The new Carnotaurus skin, the head is kind of weird in my opinion. It just kind of looks, there's something off about it. That being said, I mean, it's a Carnotaurus, top tier predator. I'll put it in A tier at the bottom of A tier just because I'm not the biggest fan of the new skin. If it had the tiger stripe skin, I would put it like ahead of all the other creatures in A tier. But for now, I'll just put it at the bottom of A tier. The Carnivores Ceratosaurus. I'll put it bottom of A tier just because it's like the most notable creature in Reborn. I don't think any Reborn creature is gonna get a higher ranking than this. I'll put it bottom A tier below the Carnivores Carnotaurus. The OG Carnivores Ceratosaurus. This is like the Top Gun before T-Rex. So I'll put it ahead of Andrewsarchus and below Brachiosaurus. Brachiosaurus might be the highest herbivore, I'm not going to lie. I think it fits well in that spot. Chasmosaurus is just mid-tier, you know what I mean? It's the first creature you fight in Survivor mode on mobile. It's kind of just a worse version in many people's eyes of the Triceratops. That being said, I do think it looks a lot more pleasing than the Triceratops. It's just like, why did it replace Triceratops? Honestly, I think it might actually be an updated version of the Triceratops that the developers were working on. And by the time they came around to releasing Carnivores 2, they decided to just rename it as Chasmosaurus. That's my own personal theory that I do stand by. I'm just going to put it in B tier because it's not Triceratops at the end of the day. But I will put it here. I will put it here. Above Amargasaurus, below Archaeopteryx. And a thought of mine was the Archaeopteryx would be so much more cooler if it could land on the ground. The fact that it's just stuck in the air. I know Middle Islands had a bird that could land on the ground. And for that, I'm actually just going to put it below Chasmosaurus. I'm going to move it. The Coelophysis is weird. The new skin is good, but some of the colors are kind of too jarring for me. It's not the greatest animal in the world. I don't really know what to think of it. It's just the Coelophysis. I mean, it's cool. It's big. You could hunt more at once. I think I'm going to put it top B tier. Right here. That looks like a perfect spot. And I know I'm kind of glazing Archaeopteryx. I just really like the look of it. Cityscape Coelophysis. While I haven't really played Cityscape, I know most people don't like it because it's kind of just like the rat of Cityscape. It's just annoying, hard to get rid of. There's not really a point in it. This might be the first D tier animal. You know what I mean? There's just nothing good to say about it. Like, yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, Cityscape is cool. It's kind of just a pest. D tier it is. The Megalosaurus. You see, they were kind of just running out of ideas with Ice Age. Like, there are so many cool creatures from the Ice Age period, or at least from, like, the Tertiary, the Paleogen, just all these different periods. And they kind of improved on this in mobile. They added the Doedicurus in, the, I forgot the name of the big guy that's in there, the elephant in the room. But yeah, I mean, a big deer, a bear, and a wolf. Like, what is this? I mean, it is a big deer. It's cool. When I think of hunting simulators, you think of a deer. It's just like, okay, we got a deer. You're going in C tier. Top C tier. I will put it top C tier. Doedicurus, badass in my opinion. I do think it's super cool. The design for it's kind of cool. Low A tier. I think low A tier, maybe just because of what it stands for. It's like, it's a big armadillo. It's cool. It's badass. It's Doedicurus. Bottom of A tier. The Diatrima. I think that's the name for it. Is there a way to check? I don't know what the name for this thing is, but I think it's the Diatrima. Yeah, it's the Diatrima. Anyway, it's badass. It's a big-ass bird that hunts you. It's a terror bird. It could go above Ceratosaurus. It could go above Brachiosaurus. Yeah, I could see the Diatrima in S. You could stay there. Okay, now we have these basic-ass reborn creatures and new mobile port. Okay, now we got a bunch of ambients. The Metrodon for me is probably my favorite ambient. High B tier. Dimorphodon, another cool ambient. I might put it low B tier. Reborn Gallimimus, nothing too unique about it. There's no Velociraptor in Reborn, so there's nothing really compare it to like in the old games. It's just kind of there, you know what I mean? I might put it like high C tier. Not even high C tier. I think this is good for it, just below the bear. I mean, I don't even really care for it as much as the bear. Gallimimus, in my opinion, is like one of the least notable ambients of the original games, so I think I'll put it in B tier at the very end. Gigantoraptor just looks like dog shit. It can go in D tier. It can go below Cityscape Coelophysis in D tier. I just don't really care for it. Giganotosaurus might be the first S tier animal. It's got a sick skin. The skin is just crazy. It's the toughest animal in Cityscape. It's like the T-Rex of Cityscape, you know what I mean? And you already know I'm going to put the T-Rex in S tier, so let's not even play around. Let's put the Gigantosaurus in S tier. It's just cool. It's cool. It's one of the coolest animals in the franchise. Hydenon's like the dog of Ice Age. I think I'm just going to put it low A tier. Not even. A tier's kind of getting bloated. I think I'll put it like something like this. Yeah, that looks right in my opinion. Alright, the mobile port Iguanodon. Honestly, kind of just there. Nothing too unique about it. I might put it as like the highest animal in C tier. Paraceratherium, which I forgot the name of earlier. It's like the sauropod of Ice Age, except you could actually hunt it down, which I think is cool in my opinion. I think that alone kind of makes it cool. And it kind of does bring out that safari aspect of Ice Age. It's like you're hunting down a big elephant, but there are also woolly mammoths in Ice Age, so I don't really think it stands out as much compared to other animals. Again, I might put it like high C tier. I'll put it above Iguanodon just because of the coolness of it. Genuinely, I think a lot of these C tier animals might actually be cooler than like Gallimimus, Dimorphodon, and Ankylosaurus. It's just in terms of like iconicness, some of these belong better in B tier. Ice Age Mammoth. It's the Ice Age Mammoth. What else can you say about it? I'll put it in A tier. High A tier. Moss Chops, or should I say Moss Hops. It's the most basic ambient animal. Maybe not as basic as Gallimimus, or maybe actually more basic. I think I'll put it just below Gallimimus in B tier. Nanotyrannus, really cool carnivore in my opinion. I think I'll put it A tier here. I noticed that B tier is kind of getting bloated, A tier is kind of getting bloated, C tier is. There's not much in D tier and S tier. I think that it does kind of just make sense right now. I haven't really came across anything that really does look like it belongs in S tier or D tier. The Cityscape Oviraptor is very cool in my opinion. Personally, I would put it here, B tier above Dimetrodon, but below Archaeopteryx. That being said, it does have cool colors on it. It's a carnivore. I might put it above Archaeopteryx just because, I mean, that is an ambient animal. I should stop glazing it. I'm kind of been glazing Archaeopteryx this entire time. Anyways, Mobile Port Oviraptor is going in C tier because nobody really gives a shit about it. Mobile Port has a lot of creatures that are kind of just like their own version of original game creatures. The Oviraptor is kind of just the mobile version of an Allosaurus, even though that creature is already in the game. Which is why, in my opinion, I would just put it in C tier. Although it's not too bad, I would put it above the Wild Boar, but below Megaloceros, like right there. The original game, Pachycephalosaurus, didn't appear in Carnivores 2, but appeared in the mobile ports. I don't care about it as much as I do other animals in Carnivores. Personally, I would put it in low B tier. Probably right there. You know, at least it's a huntable, so I'll put it above Gallimimus and Monstrops, but I'll put it below Brontotherium. Actually, no. Brontotherium is going below Pachycephalosaurus. Reborn Parasaurolophus, very cool design, but it is kind of just like a reborn animal, you know what I mean? It's not really carnivore style. I might put it in B tier for a reborn animal, just because it is cool, you know what I mean? It's cool, it looks cool. And it can fight back, which I think is more realistic. Original Carnivores Parasaurolophus, I might put this in S tier. You know, it's like the most basic herbivore in the game. It's the first one you unlock, but it also just holds so much memories and nostalgia hunting it down when I first installed Carnivores that I might just put it in S tier. And it's just so iconic for a Carnivores herbivore that I think it does just belong in S tier, even if just for that nostalgia factor, that iconicness associated with it. Now, Pelecanomimus, straight D tier, bottom of D tier. Appeared in Reborn for some reason when it doesn't appear in any other Carnivores game. It's just a smaller reskin of Gallimimus that you don't even see as much. It's just useless. It might be the worst animal in any of the Carnivores games. Although there is the pig. The thing about Ice Age is that there are so many cool animals that came after the dinosaurs and before humans. And I can think of a couple that could work as ambient animals. But yet the creators chose Archaeopteryx, which I do think was a fantastic choice for Ice Age, and a pig, which is just a wild boar, but a reskin. And as I'm going to discuss in the Iceberg video for Carnivores, there's the theory that it literally is just the female variant of the wild boar. So yeah, the pig is going in D tier, just because it might be the worst ambient in the Carnivores games. Actually, I'm not going to lie, even though it sucks, being the sole Carnivores Ice Age ambient that walks around on land does kind of give it a bit more credibility than normal Carnivores ambients, but it's still going in D. I'll probably put it highest in D tier. Reborn Pteranodon, you barely see it. You could shoot it down, but it's a Pteranodon. It's the most basic Pteranodon, I guess. It's just going to go in C tier, bottom C tier. I'll put it above the bear, just because nobody kind of likes that, I'm not going to lie. Normal Carnivores Pteranodon can go in A tier. Sick design. I love the red on the crest. I wish it could land. Dude, if it was a bit bigger and it could land, and maybe even fight back if you like approach it on the ground, that would be such a cool experience in a Carnivores game. I genuinely think it just belongs in A tier up there. Next we have the woolly rhino, which is just a cooler version of the Brontotherium. I think I'm going to put above Chasmosaurus. It's one of the more unique Ice Age animals. Saber-tooth tiger, it's badass. It's better than Andrew-Sarchus. I'll put it there. OG Carnivore Spino. Not the most unique animal in the franchise, but I mean, it's the Carnivore Spino. It can go below woolly mammoth. And I do think it's cool that Carnivores made it small. It's not supposed to be big. It's supposed to be like a branch between Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus. And it's kind of uniquely made for Carnivores in terms of size, so I do think it fits in that regard. I think I'm going to move Parasaurolophus below Pachycephalosaurus, just because it appears in the Carnivores games already. Hell, I'll put it below Brontotherium. Reborn Stego, nothing too unique about it. I'll put it really, really low B tier. And not even. I'll put it C tier. The Paraceratherium's better than it. In fact, I think I might even move the Paraceratherium to B tier. OG Carnivore Stego, probably going to be high B tier. Nothing stands out too much about it. Suchomimus is one of the scarier creatures in Cityscape, and I genuinely do really like the design of it. I'm going to put it in A tier, below Spino, and above Andrew-Sarchus. The Titanus, I think it's called. The Titanus is just straight D tier. There's nothing really redeeming about it at all. I mean, it's a terror bird, but it's not even as cool as the Gigantoraptor, so I'll put it below Gigantoraptor. Reborn T-Rex is just your average Jurassic Park T-Rex. Nothing stands out that much about it. I'll put it above Ceratosaurus in A tier. The OG Carnivores Rex is straight top S tier. I mean, there's nothing to even say about it. It's straight top S tier. Reborn Triceratops, not as cool as the Reborn Stego in my opinion. So I'll put it here. Troodon, sick design, but again, it's kind of just a separate version of the Raptor for the mobile port. Honestly, I think I'll just put it around like Coelophysis level area. The OG Carnivores Triceratops, in my opinion, the community does kind of glaze it a little bit. Personally, I would just put it somewhere around A tier, because I know everyone's going to freak out if I don't put it in A tier. It does need to remain above Chasmosaurus, I'm not going to lie, and Chasmosaurus is top B tier. So I think I will just put it like high, like low A tier. I'll put it low A tier. The Tylosaurus has so much potential, in my opinion. Being an aquatic marine predator, the Tylosaurus is the only aquatic animal in a Carnivores game. And in my opinion, Although it doesn't really do much in Cityscape, the vision is still there. The potential is still there. And just based off the coolness factor alone, it is one of my favorite creatures in the Carnivores franchise. So, personal opinion aside, even though it literally is just an ambient animal, I'm putting it low S tier off of coolness factor alone. And it even has that like vintage Carnivores look to it, while still fitting with a Cityscape design. It's got a perfect design in my opinion. And the fact that it's like they've almost integrated into the sewers of Crater City and the nearby lakes, it's just such a cool thing. And its inclusion on the vessel that got brought over to Crater City shows that maybe in the exotic sector, aquatic hunting is a thing. You see, it's these little world building things that make me love Tylosaurus that much more, apart from even just being the coolest ambient animal in Carnivores. The Utah Raptor, the old skin was good, I'm not even gonna lie, but it was ripped off of paleo art on the internet. That being said, the new skin is not my favorite, with the heavy shrink wrap and the weird like hair looking thing going on behind the head. I'll put it below Ankylosaurus because I don't want to do my boy Ankylo dirty like that. Carnivores Velociraptor, S tier. You know, it's the peak small animal in Carnivores that can hunt you back. Not small, but you know what I mean. Like when I think of S tier, I think we need the peak herbivore in there, we need the peak carnivore, and we need the peak like mid-range carnivore. And Velociraptor does bridge that gap, apart from just being so iconic. And it's based off of the Jurassic Park design, but it's not in a realistic graphic like Reborn that just kind of makes it meh. You know, it still fits in Carnivores. The wolf. The wolf is one of the coolest animals in Ice Age. That being said, it is just a dire wolf, but it is super cool hunting a big-ass wolf that can kill you. So I think I'll put it right here. And then we've got the Yeti, which I'm putting second place in S tier. The only reason I'm not putting it first place is because the Tyrannosaurus might be the most iconic animal in the Carnivores franchise. That being said, the Yeti might be one of the coolest, if not the coolest. So I'm putting it second place S tier. And with that, we've run out of entries. The B tier is the biggest entry. It kind of makes sense, actually. You could see middle, A and C are around a little bit smaller than middle. And then S tier and the biggest have the least amount of entries, just because there isn't a whole lot of dookie-ass D tier dinosaurs. But there are a couple. The pig, the Titanus, or whatever the hell it's called. Like, these are kind of just dookie, why are these even in Carnivores in the first place kind of thing. And then in S tier, you've got, like, the top gun creatures, the Raptor, the Giganotosaurus, the T-Rex, the Yeti, the Tylosaurus, which is just super badass, Parasaurolophus. Honestly, I think this is my personal Carnivores tier list ranking right here. I'm looking over it right now. I don't really think I would change anything. I think mine, at least, is kind of just perfect the way it is. If you guys have your own tier lists, send them to me on maybe like Discord if you want to join my server or something like that. And I would love to see what your guys' rankings are. But yeah, this is how I would just rank all of the creatures in Carnivores on a tier list. And this isn't a tier list where I just add things to each entry. These tiers are also ranked. So for the commenter that wanted me to rank my favorite dinosaurs, this is it from least to best. Anyways, yeah, I kind of just did want to get this video, get another Carnivores video out, get another video to keep the cogs of the channel rolling. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I know it was kind of long, and I was kind of just yapping at times, but, you know, it's a Carnivores video, it's a tier list video, it's kind of be expected with just a normal commentary video like this. I do hope you guys enjoyed again. I don't say it a lot, but considering the video is kind of long, if you made it to this point and you haven't already, a subscribe would be appreciated, I'm not going to lie. And without further ado, I'll see you on the next one.